الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنبا إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا، وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم إن الله كان عفوا غفورا. ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب يشترون الضلالة ويريدون أن تضلوا السبيل، والله أعلم بأعدائكم وكفى بالله وليا وكفى بالله نصيرا. من الذين هادوا يحرفون الكلم عن مواضعه ويقولون سمعنا وعصينا واسمع غير مسمع وراعنا ليا بألسنتهم وطعنا في الدين، ولو أنهم قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا واسمع وانظرنا لكان خيرا لهم وأقوم، ولكن لعنهم الله بكفرهم فلا يؤمنون إلا قليلا. يا أيها الذين أوتوا الكتاب آمنوا بما نزلنا مصدقا لما معكم من قبل أن نطمس وجوها فنردها على أدبارها أو نلعنهم كما لعنا أصحاب السبت وكان أمر الله مفعولا. إن الله لا يغفر أن يشرك به ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء، ومن يشرك بالله فقد افترى إثما عظيما. ألم تر إلى الذين يزكون أنفسهم بل الله يزكي من يشاء ولا يظلمون فتيلا. انظر كيف يفترون على الله الكذب وكفى به إثما مبينا. ألم تر إلى الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب يؤمنون بالجبت والطاغوت ويقولون للذين كفروا هؤلاء أهدى من الذين آمنوا سبيلا. أولئك الذين لعنهم الله ومن يلعن الله فلن تجد له نصيرا. أم لهم نصيب من الملك فإذا لا يؤتون الناس نقيرا. أم يحسدون الناس على ما آتاهم الله من فضله فقد آتينا آل إبراهيم الكتاب والحكمة وآتيناهم ملكا عظيما. فمنهم من آمن به ومنهم من صد عنه وكفى بجهنم سعيرا. إن الذين كفروا بآياتنا سوف نصليهم نارا كلما نضجت جلودهم بدلناهم جلودا غيرها ليذوقوا العذاب إن الله كان عزيزا حكيما. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سندخلهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا لهم فيها أزواج مطهرة وندخلهم ظلا ظليلا. إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل إن الله نعم ما يعظكم به إن الله كان سميعا بصيرا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد كفروا به وإن يريدوا شيء. ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد أمروا به ومن يريد الشيطان يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا. وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا إلى ما أنزل الله تعالوا إلى ما أنزل الله وإلى الرسول رأيت المنافقين يصدون عنك صديدا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى أما بعد. My dear respected Muslims, we come on to the fourth juz of the Quran. There was a time when Sahaba, having very newly accepted Islam and migrated from Mecca to Medina, just the second year whilst they were in Medina, it's the month of Sha'ban, and the obligation of Ramadan was revealed onto the heart of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when you and I come into the month of Ramadan and we feel we're ill prepared, when you and I welcome the month of Ramadan and you and I feel, I'm not ready. Sahaba were not ready. They were informed in Sha'ban that from the next month you will have to fast for the entirety of the month. And thereafter, on the 17th of that first Ramadan of Sahaba, there was a battle that took place. And inshallah this Friday in the Jumu'ah we'll speak about the battle of Badr. And in the fourth juz Allah speaks about Badr, and then Allah follows it up with a mention of the battle of Uhud. And in the battle of Uhud, the Rasul ﷺ commanded some companions to remain on the hill. And you and I are familiar with the events that transpired when it came to the battle of Uhud, where the Sahaba of the Rasul ﷺ were martyred. 70 companions of the Rasul lost their lives because of a misunderstanding of those companions in how to fulfill the command of the Rasul ﷺ. The Rasul ﷺ lost the tooth. The Rasul ﷺ lost his uncle Hamza radiallahu anhu. The Rasul ﷺ lost Mus'ab bin Umair radiallahu anhu. 70 companions of the Rasul were made shaheed in one day. But Badr taught you and I that in life you will have victories. And Uhud taught you and I that sometimes in life you may also have to experience temporary defeat. Badr taught you and I that in life you'll have good days. And Uhud taught you and I that sometimes in life you may not have the best of days. But after Uhud, Allah gave them Fathu Makkah, Allah gave them Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, Allah gave them Hunayn, Allah gave them Tabuk. There were many more positives that came thereafter. But the lesson of the fourth juz of the Quran is, understand that there will be some points of difficulty in our lives. This dunya is darul imtihan. This dunya is darul ibtila. This dunya, if we never had any problems, financial, marital, whatever it may be, then this would be Jannah. Objective of this dunya is Allah will test us. Allah says, Am hasibtum an tadkhulul Jannah وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Did you think that you would enter Jannah and you wouldn't have to experience the likes of that which those before you had to experience? Did you think Jannah was so cheap? Did you think eternal bliss was going to come with no sacrifice? أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَنْ يُتْرَكُوا أَنْ يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Did insan think we will say we believe and that's it, Allah will give us Jannah? Allah will test us. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنْكُمْ وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. The objective of this dunya is, you and I prove to Allah that, oh Allah, Jannah is my objective. Oh Allah, I want Jannah. So the battle of Uhud is concluded, and the Rasul ﷺ is experiencing pain, grief and sorrow. The Rasul is down. But then Allah reminds the Rasul ﷺ, O Muhammad ﷺ, I know you're upset, and I know you may feel that your companions failed to fulfill the obligation and the hukam and the command as you gave it to them. But because of one wrong, you don't overlook a lot of good that a person has done. Zamana khamosh raha hazar nekiyon pe. Zamana khamosh raha hazar nekiyon pe. Ebo ki baat aayi to gunge bhi bol pare. लोगों से इतनी वफादारी न कर मदहोश हो के गालिब, हजार नेकियों को एक गलती की वजह से भूल जाएंगे. The Rasul is being told, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't forget the accolades of your companions. Don't forget the good, and unfortunately that's a lesson you and I need to learn. Your wife makes one mistake, your husband makes one error, and you've never done anything for me. You go grocery shopping, you have a list of 10 items, you get 9.5, you miss 0.5. What use are you? You can never do anything right. The Rasul is being told, oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you were harsh in your tongue, if you were harsh in terms of your speech, if you were harsh in terms of your character, Sahaba would have left you a long time ago. The lesson for you and I is, when someone makes a mistake, we have to know how to deal with the situation. When there's a mistake that's made, how we respond to the mistake will determine the future of that person. How is it that a Sahabi who was an alcoholic, some Sahaba who prior to Islam were addicted to wrongs, the Rasul took those very same people with those very same characteristics and made them guiding stars for us. The Rasul was soft, the Rasul was kind, the Rasul had a great sense of compassion and affection to his Sahaba. He saw the positives within people. He saw those sifat that he could allow people to excel. And today we put all of the good characteristics of a person to the side and we focus on that one wrong or that one weakness or that one deficiency that they have. Allah gave you two eyes. One to see the good in people and the other to see the weaknesses in yourselves. There's no opportunity for us to focus on the wrongs of others. Then Allah says that, O Muhammad sallallahu fa'fu anhum wastaghfir lahum, forgive them, pardon them, overlook their mistake, washawirhum fil amr. When the battle of Uhud was taking place, the Rasul was seated with Sahaba. Senior Sahaba said the battle of Uhud should take place within Medina. The young Sahaba said, in the previous year, Badr took place far away from Medina. And those Sahaba that enjoyed martyrdom far from their homes. So we want Uhud to take place out of Medina. The Rasul ﷺ complied with the opinion of the junior Sahaba. And when the Rasul complied with this, and he saw the effect of that, and he saw the defeat Sahaba had to experience, Rasulullah ﷺ said, I won't take the companions who are young, I won't take their opinions again. Immediately ayat were revealed. The Rasul ﷺ was under a microscope. A man comes into the majlis of the Rasul. The Rasul is seated with kibar of Quraysh. The VIPs of the country were seated at the feet of the Rasul, giving him an attentive ear. A Sahabi walks in. The Sahabi is blind, he can't see the kuffar and the kibar of Quraysh, he can't see anyone, and Rasulullah ﷺ frowned, he couldn't see the frown of the Rasul. But immediately ayat of the Quran were revealed. عَبَسَ وَتَوَلَّى أَنْ جَاءَهُ الْأَعْمَى وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّىٰ. O Muhammad ﷺ, a blind man came to you and you frowned. O Muhammad ﷺ, this wasn't the correct way to deal with the situation. That's why Rasulullah says, my Allah nurtured me and He perfected my nurturing. Every element of the life of the Rasul is amazing. O Muhammad yes, they may have given you a consultation and a mashwara and a shura, and you followed it, and as a consequence maybe there was an error and there was a flaw in the judgment. But وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, don't alienate, don't ostracize them from your majalis. Keep them close. Those who are suffering from deen, those of your children who are going through difficulties, those of your friends who have got addictions, don't shun them away. Bring them closer. Show them the love of deen. Show them the warmth of iman. Show them the beautiful environment of the masjid, the judgmental free environment of the masjid. Today youngsters, they make one mistake and we shun them from society. Today a youngster is seen drunk and we don't want to connect with them anymore. The way of the Rasul ﷺ was, O Muhammad ﷺ, they made an error in judgment. It happens, it's a mistake. We move on. The surah after Surah Ali Imran is Surah Nisa. Yesterday, very briefly, we spoke about talaq. And we spoke about the toxicity sometimes that come post the divorce, wherein children are weaponized either by the husband or the wife post that breakup of that marriage. Surah Nisa has an ayah, and every man in the ummah of the Rasul knows this ayah. Every man latches and holds on to this ayah with pride and joy and happiness and jubilation. There was a man, he was getting married in Africa, and I seen the video with my eyes. I'm not making it up just to make you laugh. And I seen the video and it was his nikah, and someone told him, brother, you're getting married, it's a beautiful day, why don't you recite a few ayat of Quran for us? 114 chapters of Quran, thousands of ayat of Quran, and this man sits on the place, he holds the mic, and he starts reading the ayat. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. He recites the verse that indicates towards the permissibility of a man having multiple spouses. On his nikah day, safe to say he probably slept on the couch or was divorced before he was even married. How do we understand this mas'ala? Every man knows this ayah. Every man holds on to this right. And the sisters all remember the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في محنة أهله. My husband, do you know that the Rasul used to help with the chores of the home? So the man holds on to this ayah that speaks about multiple spouses, and the woman holds on to that hadith of the Rasul that indicates that he was an aid and an assistant in the chores of the home. And as a consequence, toxicity has entered into our marriages even if there is no divorce. As a consequence, there's hatred and malice in the heart of that husband and that wife, even though they are living together. Allah, when He speaks about sukoon and raha in the Quran, peace, tranquility, comfort, serenity, joy, jubilation, happiness, Allah connects it with one of three things. جَعَلَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ لِتَسْكُنُوا فِيهِ. The night is a time of rest, it's a time of calmness, serenity. Allah speaks about your house, Allah says it's a place of happiness and joy. The third place, Allah says your marriage was supposed to be a means of sakina for you. And unfortunately today there's turmoil. Why? Because we are weaponizing these ayat and these ahadith against one another. We are using these very same ahkam. What does Allah say after He says you can marry multiple spouses? And of course we never ever reject the ahkam of Allah. And for the sisters it's very important. Yes, you may not want your husband to act upon it, but that does not mean that we belie, we reject, we erase, we eradicate a permissibility that has been given by Allah. But for you and I as men, Allah says, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدًا. We read the first line, we don't read the second line, we don't read the fine print. Allah is saying, if you feel you won't be able to do justice, then one is enough for you. And that's why it's important that we don't, how many sisters are sitting in homes? The home is broken. Why? Because every time there's a dispute, every time there's a disagreement. What does the husband say? I can get a second wife. Behave. Watch your tongue. Watch how you're speaking. Remember who's the boss. Was this the example of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Was this the way of the Rasul? Yes, the sunnah of the Rasul was multiple spouses, and we took that sunnah. But what about the sunnah of the Rasul where he said that, be kind to your spouses and I am the most kind to my spouse? What about those elements of the sunnah? That home is broken, the husband one day comes home early from work, and the wife asks the husband, why are you home so early? So he says, babe, my boss told me go to hell. He told me go to hell. The home was supposed to be a maskan. It was supposed to be a place for sukoon and raha. Yes, there will be disagreements. Yes, there will be sometimes discord. Yes, there will be ups and downs. But how can you and I feel brave enough to use the ahkam of Allah and His Rasul, to use the words of Allah and His Rasul, to weaponize it against our spouse, to suspend it and keep it mu'allaq over their heads? Don't forget. Was this the way of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How many sisters are in marriages and the only thing that they have to hear every other day is, I have this right. I can exercise this right anytime I want. We have to understand Quran, the objective was, أنزل القرآن ليعمل به فاتخذ الناس تلاوته عملا. Objective of Quran was to act upon it. You and I thought reciting it is acting upon it. There's a stark difference. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu comes to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he says that I was so happy. ما عمل بها أحد قبلي ولا أحد بعدي. There's an ayah in the Quran, no Muslim has acted upon this ayah except me. What was the ayah? Allah revealed a verse to limit the access of the munafiq to the company of the Rasul, and Allah said, إِذَا نَاجَيْتُمُ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدِّمُوا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ نَجْوَاكُمْ صَدَقَةً. Before you sit in the companionship and the majlis of the Rasul, give some sadaqah. The objective was, the munafiq won't want to give any sadaqah, therefore he will be restricted from the company of the Rasul. Ali radiallahu anhu says, I gave some sadaqah, I came to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I said, Ya Rasulullah, I have a question. Today you and I, what's the question we have? Imam Sahab, what's the hukam of me getting married without informing, a second time without informing my first wife? I am allowed, right? That's within my rights, right, Imam Sahab? Ye mera haq hai na, it's my right. What were the questions Sahaba had? Look at the focus of Sahaba. Sahabi says, I gave sadaqah. That's how desirous I was to understand the answer of this question that I had. I came to the Rasul. What was the question he asked? ماذا أصنع لنجاة نفسي يا رسول الله. ماذا أصنع لنجاتي? O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what do I do to secure salvation for myself in Akhirah? Look at the question Sahaba had. Surah Nisa told you and I, الرجال قوامون على النساء. The man is the guardian over the woman. The man is the Amir of the household. That doesn't mean we show dominance in a way where it's borderline abuse, dhulm and oppression. It means that we're compassionate, affection, kind. It means that we know how to control, like I said yesterday, our emotions. الرجال قوامون على قوام. What does قوام mean? What's the tafsir of qawwam? Time is exhausted, we don't have time. Surah Nisa taught you and I that go back to the seerah and the sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Learn the seerah, learn the surah. Unfortunately today, with many men, bahar mein chuha, ghar mein sher. Outside you're quiet, you're innocent, you're like a mouse. The moment you come home, the lion's here. Chai kaha hai, khana kaha hai, where's this, where's that? Is that the way of an ummati? Was that the attitude of the Rasul? Was that how we inserted our dominance over the women of the ummah? Someone's daughter, some father gave his daughter to you and this is how we behave? And of course at the same time, in the same breath, before the sisters get too excited, unko bhi thoda sunana padega na, otherwise it's not going to be fair. The rights of the husband over the wife are clear. Today we speak about gender roles and the woman feels that the house, do I have to do khidmah of the people of my home? What's the hadith of the Rasul? The hadith of the Rasul is a woman who prays her salawat, she fasts Ramadan, she takes care of her ibadat, and she takes care of the home of the household of her husband. The woman, every door of Jannah will be open for her. Today you and I have fallen into the trap of the Western world. And I've said it many times and I'll say it again. That yes, every household is different and you can't give a blanket ruling. Every person's circumstance is unique to themselves. But we need to go back and understand the family unit and the importance of the family unit as it was in the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't have to do this. Do I have to do that? Is it within your rights to demand? That wasn't the sifat of Ummahatul Mu'mineen. That wasn't the way of the wives of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's not how they behaved with their spouse. That's not how they behaved with the Rasul. Sometimes we focus too much on what are the rights that we are owed more than the rights that we owe one another. The moment we focus on the rights that we owe more than the rights that we are owed by the other person, I promise you that house will be Jannah. Wherein the Rasul ﷺ had such a beautiful relationship with his spouses. Sometimes there was disagreements. Sometimes there was discord. There were incidents that took place where plates were broken. How did the Rasul respond? How did the other spouses and the wives respond? Today, wallahi, the homes are breaking. And who suffers? The children suffer. Who suffers? That young boy who grows up without a father figure suffers. I'm not saying, and don't misunderstand, that if there is a very, very major problem, there's domestic abuse, physical abuse, cycle, whatever it may be, that warrants a divorce, then definitely that's an option that we have to exhaust. But that was never the first option. Today there's a slight problem in the home and the girl phones her mum and the father says, come home. Back in the day it wasn't like that. It was you deal with it until and unless it gets very serious, then you involve us. We involve everyone within our marriages and then we expect a solution. You'll never get a solution. We make dua to Allah that He allow us to understand Quran. He allow us to bring bliss, happiness, joy and jubilation into our home. He allow us to bring romance into our marriages. The Rasul was very romantic with his spouses. Today you and I feel it's against the izzah for me to be romantic with my spouse. If a man opens the car door for his wife, people say it's one of two things. Either the car is new or the wife is new. That's one of the two. Might scratch it, watch the other car, be careful. That wasn't the Rasul. Safiya radiallahu anha wanted to mount the animal. He never had nothing for her to stand on. So the Rasul used his thigh and she used his thigh as a ladder and she walked and she climbed onto the animal. The home of the Rasul was a home of sakina. Today the world is chasing sakina, happiness, joy. The world is chasing just to be comfortable. We make dua to Allah that He allow us to act upon Quran. He allow us to understand Quran. He protect us from weaponizing what Allah and His Rasul have said against other people, whether that be our spouses, our parents, our siblings, our community members. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.